Now, staying in the US, who killed Tupac Shakur? 3 decades after the rap superstar was murdered in Nevada, a trial in Las Vegas intends to answer that question. 63-year-old Duane Davis is accused of orchestrating the drive-by killing. Charlotte Lamb reminds us of the case.
The killing of Tupac Shakur, one of music's most famous cold cases, nearly 30 years unsolved.
All right, we have Mr. Davis now?
Now, an explosive account in the biggest case in Las Vegas history. Jurors have heard a 2008 recording of accused Duane "Keefy D" Davis telling detectives that his nephew Orlando Anderson fired the shots that killed the rapper in 1996.
So you were fitting to blast if you had to, or you were just...
Yeah, if we would have been on our side, I would have blasted.
Okay.
The former gang boss is accused of orchestrating the killing of the 25-year-old hip-hop superstar. He said the white Cadillac he and Anderson were riding in pulled up alongside Shakur's car. At the time of the 2008 interview, his nephew had been dead for a decade. Prosecutors allege Shakur was killed to avenge an assault on Davis's nephew hours earlier at the MGM Grand after a Mike Tyson fight.
Please rise for the jury.
So why is this trial happening now, 30 years later? Well, police say they had long suspected Davis, but it was his own words in previous interviews on podcasts and a co-authored 2019 memoir that finally built the case. The 63-year-old was arrested in 2023 and has been held without bail ever since. Davis has pleaded not guilty. His defense claims previous statements were nothing but a paycheck, calling the prosecution's narrative fiction. Tupac Shakur remains a cultural icon, one of hip-hop's most influential voices, whose legend has only grown since his death.
There it is.
Well, we're now joined by Kim Langtree, who's lecturer in law at the University of Salford in the UK, to talk about this trial. Hi, Kim. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, good morning.
So you've followed the case this week. What's stood out to you? What have been the important moments?
The important moments, well, it is the irony that, in fact, the prosecution and the defence are going to be using Duane Davis's words. So, as you are probably aware, Duane Davis gave a statement to the authorities in 2008, and a proffer deal was made. Now, what is a proffer deal? It is that a person gives evidence, gives a statement, and as long as they're telling the truth, then the words used in that statement won't be used against them in open court. And therein lies the rub, is that as long as they remain truthful and they don't contradict the statement in their proffer statement, then they will be immune from prosecution. But as we know, Duane Davis went on and wrote a book, gave podcasts, and told a rather dramatic story about the night that Tupac died and his involvement in it. And so what the prosecution is saying is that he gave a credible account and that he has remained consistent over the years as regards his role in the killing of Tupac. So the defense, on the other hand, is saying, well, no, actually, Davis wrote the book. He wrote the book with ghostwriters, so we don't actually know which were his words and which were the ghostwriters. Also, he really, it was a fictionalized account. It was pure fabrication, just to sell books. It was a commercial enterprise. So basically, the case is turning on whether or not the prosecution can prove beyond reasonable doubt. In the absence of actually any physical evidence, there's no gun, there's no forensic evidence to put forward. They are using Duane Davis's words as evidence that he was involved in the murder of Tupac.
And do we have precedent of this? How strong does that tend to be as a defence? Saying I was lying to promote myself. Is there anything like this that has happened that they've been in the courtroom in the past?
It is quite unique, and I think this is why this story is gaining momentum. Is that the prosecution is saying, "Well, you said this, and we're using," and the judge has allowed the evidence to be entered into courtroom, and the jury has heard lots of recordings of evidence of the statement that Duane Davis gave to the authorities at the time. So it is quite unique. And of course, we know that it's. Sorry, excuse me. You have a question?
Yeah, no, I was just going to, given that this is a unique case, we've obviously seen other big cases in the US over the years. What's your sort of overall sense of how important this file is? Because we've been covering it a little bit this week. Obviously, it's been in the American media. Is it capturing the attention as much as other big cases? And actually, will it be important for jurisprudence going forward?
Yes, I think it certainly is capturing the attention of global media. We hear a great deal about this case. Will it create a precedent? I think that potentially yes. I mean, so Duane Davis is being prosecuted not for actually committing the murder per se, but as aiding and abetting the murder. So basically, what happens under Nevada law is that Duane Davis can be prosecuted in the same way as the principal, as the actual perpetrator of the crime, and he faces the same charges as the person who actually committed the crime.
So we will get an answer to the question, who killed Tupac, at the end of this, in theory.
Well, ultimately, in theory, what will happen is the case, ironically, rests on, can the prosecution, using Duane Davis's actual statements and words, prove beyond reasonable doubt, convince the jury that he was involved, he orchestrated the killing of Tupac, or can the defense, on the other hand, say, no, this is fabrication, there's not enough evidence to show beyond reasonable doubt that Duane Davis was involved, or not enough evidence to show that Duane Davis, beyond reasonable doubt, can be found guilty for the murder of Tupac. Will we know for sure? I think the jury's out on that. We won't know for sure. It will rest on, can the prosecution convince the jury beyond reasonable doubt.
All right. Thank you very much, Kim Langtree, joining us there from the UK for your legal analysis this morning. Appreciate it.